We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast, our 99th episode.
Oh, yeah.
Next week will be the big one, but we're going to call this our Slavica Uvi Peripovic episode. Brandon,
yeah, that's
how you doing tonight, sir?
Mixed bag. You know, unburying ourselves from snow, as many of y'all who live around here know.
To do a thing.
But no, it's you know, it was an interesting weekend. Some highs, some lows, some woes.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I'm feeling good.
That's good. That's good.
Sort
yeah.
of.
Yeah, for those a little farther south than us, down closer to Utica, you got a bit of snow, but I mean, we've had snow, like 6 inches Sunday into Saturday into Sunday, Sunday into Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. It's just been, I don't know about you, I'm running out of places to put it.
Yeah, no, I really, you know, my snowblower can only throw so far and so high.
Yeah.
And eventually the snow is just going to overtake both me, the house, the cars. It's just not going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we got a nice little bit of snow coming tomorrow, and then it goes up into almost 40, so we'll melt a little bit, but not enough and not long enough to melt it.
No. It's a short reprieve from the snow, but it'll be back and in greater numbers.
Mm-hmm. For those watching live, we are attempting again to try a simul stream to YouTube and Twitter, Facebook. So if there's any issues in either of them, throw it in the chat and we'll fix it as we can.
Yep.
Hopefully this will be the way we can do things from now on, and it'll get more eyes on the show, make it more accessible, and maybe we can get a little more engagement during it.
None of those are a bad thing.
Yeah. We'll call this our multi-stream era.
What is this, WWE?
No, it was a reference to the upcoming promotion for the home game.
Oh. Fair. Sorry, I'm a wrestling fan, okay? They've been talking about the fact that it's the Netflix era, it's the new era, it's the Penta era, it's everybody's era.
Brandon, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
2 and 2.
We got 2 games. We should probably mention the mid-season grades that we were given by friend of the pod, Phil Levanko, and Alex Bastravansky over on MASL Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
And we got 2 more games this weekend to talk about. But as they say, let's begin at the beginning. Saturday night at the Odd. It's the first night for Briggy weekend. Kelvin returns. Utica remembers how to win a game and takes this one 10-6.
Yes, they did. But it wasn't all sunshine and roses, now was it?
No. If my still slightly scratchy voice doesn't tell you, there's a lot of yelling. Not exactly positive happening both games this weekend.
Yeah, it was a rocky weekend. Honestly, it was a rough weekend. And I don't mean just like, oh yeah, it was rough having to drive down for 2 games and this, that, and the other thing. No, it was, well, drive down for 1 game because I didn't go to the second one. But just these 2 teams were taking it to each other. I mean, it was a rough affair. And honestly, a lot of it just got, you know, they just let them play for a lot of it. It was, I mean, it was refreshing to see them just like let them play, but I think it could have been reined in a little sooner.
Yeah, we might talk about that in one of our stats to tell the story or play that changes a game or something. But if this is your first time watching us on Facebook, our recaps go stat that tells the story, play that changed the game. Um, pardon me. Something that needs to change moving forward, and a positive takeaway. Since these games were back to back against the same opponent, Brandon, I don't think you're going to have a problem with this. Is if we combine something that needs to change and positive takeaway into one for both games. So,
yeah, I doubt I'm going to argue with you.
So we'll start with a stat that tells the story for that first game. I think it's pretty easy.
It's the one I'm thinking of.
Is it the 8 unanswered Utica City goals?
Something along those lines. Yeah.
Trailing 5-2 with just over 3 minutes to play in the first half. Kelvin Oliveira slots his second goal of the game to bring it 5-3. And then the next time Milwaukee would score was with just over 5.5 minutes to play in the entire game. And at that point, they were down 10-6.
Yep. Man had to break out that 6 attacker. Yeah, it was. That is not something that was not on my bingo card at all. I mean, I had this. Remember when I said I had this as a low scoring game? I had like 4-3. Said, oh, yeah, it's going to be kind of a defensive. No. Kelvin said, nah. We are taking this to the double digits.
Yeah, it was a great one. I mean, that's my stat. It's a pretty easy one to pick. Brandon, sounds like you have something similar, but not quite the same.
I mean, mine was just simply the fact that Kelvin came out of one game with 7 points, 5 of those being his own goals, with 4 of them, according to the stat sheet, being unassisted. I mean, one of his best ones for me was literally when he was in front of the goal or to the side of the goal with 2 defenders on him, and he just backheels it
that
in.
Cheeky little backheel.
Yes, that one. That one, and then of course, I mean, his half court chip were just. I will say, I was a little surprised for the goals of the week that, much as it pains me to say this, the game winner for Sunday was not on there. Because, I mean, that was another long chip. But, I mean, there was just a lot of good goals this weekend. I mean, even in this game, the Wave had a couple of really good, just top shelf ones. I mean, Kelvin took most of the highlights, but they had a couple of good ones. I have to give them credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
But definitely 7 points. I mean, come on.
We both had the teams splitting this weekend. We talk predictions. We'll award the points there when we get there. But this one is this one felt good, and it was higher scoring and a much bigger differential than either of us expected.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I mean, I had the 1 point differential. I can't remember if you had 1 or 2.
It was closer. Yeah.
It definitely wasn't 4.
No, I didn't have Utica doubling up Milwaukee in the fourth quarter at any point.
No. Not at all. It absolutely felt good.
Felt good. It looked good for a second half. The first half was a little shaky. We'll talk about that later. But Brandon, do you have a play that changed this game?
I honestly think that what really kind of set up that second half was the fact that we were able to score before halftime, because I was extremely worried that we were going to go into halftime down 5-2 or 5-2, down 3 goals, and then Kelvin was able to slot that one in, and we at least got to go into halftime with 3 goals under our belt and being the last ones that scored. We went into halftime with momentum, and we then came out of halftime with momentum. So I think that was a big game changer. I think if either Milwaukee had scored again or nobody scored and we went in with that much of a deficit, I think that would have changed the tone of the second half, and set up, and it just wouldn't have set up the team to just be, I don't know, as aggressive as they were. I mean, that second half, they were so aggressive, and it was great to see. So that's what I think started to change the tide.
Yeah, I think a big change here came with whatever was said in the locker room at halftime, whatever adjustments were made. Unfortunately, we're not going to know that discussion.
No, we're not.
But like you said, they came out more aggressive. They came out attacking. This third quarter looked a lot like what we would see in the first quarter on Sunday. The biggest difference is they found the net in this one, whereas on Sunday they got unlucky and just a deflection here, around the board there, off the crossbar or off the post, or just a lot of unluckiness. This one, it just couldn't miss.
No, they really couldn't. And I mean, I think you and I, when we were talking about it at the game, I mean, that was literally had to be one of our best third quarters ever.
Easily.
I mean, 5-0 basically. I mean, that's unheard of for this team to perform like that in the third quarter. There's always been this third quarter curse with this team, so they came out swinging.
Yeah, it was a nice change of pace from some of the games we've seen, like last week's third quarter against Baltimore, or 2 weeks ago against Baltimore.
Yes. Yeah, that one hurt a bit. That one wasn't fun.
Yeah, this was a game where you don't want to say it righted the ship, but it felt like they started bailing water.
Yeah.
Someone needed to man the pumps. It turned out to be Kelvin, and we're not surprised by that.
No. I mean, how do I want to put this? I was happy that we came out of that with a win. Not only a win, but a decisive win. I was also a little, I don't want to say saddened, but still almost disappointed at the fact that it took Kelvin being present for us to perform like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, there was also just some adjustments made during the game. I mean, I don't remember in the first half or even in last weekend or whatnot seeing Ronnie and Nilton on the same shift. But yeah, we saw that a lot, and those two fed off of each other. I mean, one would steal, get to the other one, and be halfway up the field, 3/4 up the field, ready to go. I mean, those two really fed off of each other when they were on the same line. So I don't remember seeing that. I think it was usually one of them and then Keaton. And I don't know why they changed it. I don't know when they decided to, but it was a very welcome change because they really started playing off of each other.
Yeah, it's been the lineup was more the same this weekend. Gordy sat the second game, maybe related to the ankle roll that we saw him hop off with at one point on Saturday.
Yep.
Also very well could just be they want to rest him and not sit play him on back-to-backs to try to keep him healthy down the stretch.
Right.
That's going to wrap up that game. I mean, that there's not much more. It was a Kelvin game.
Yeah, it really was.
Sunday's game, little bit similar. Just not quite the offensive explosion you needed to get it done.
No. They tried.
They did try. Yeah, they came out. They went down 2-0 again. Scored a goal. But that was
From Dantas, no
that was all they
less.
managed in the first half, though. And they went into the half down 2 goals again. And they came out and they won the third quarter. But unfortunately, they
Yep.
just couldn't get it finished in the end. Do
No.
you have?
I mean, they.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I
Go
was just
ahead.
going to lead into the stat
No,
that tells the story.
no. I was just gonna say, it definitely. It was feeling good up until even into the last minute. We were feeling good that last 45 seconds just because of Nilton and Vinny connecting in with that really nice play. And then it just took a nosedive literally at the very last second.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a rough ending. But again, that'll be something to talk about here.
Yeah.
Your stat that tells the story, sir.
So just to show, how close this game really was, even, it was only a one goal game, literally at the very last second. And I mean, these two teams, they were shooting. I mean, both teams had 24 and 25 shots respectively. And this was the kind of offensive defensive affair that I expected the night before, like with that 4-3 prediction that I had. They had a few more goals in this one than what my prediction was, but this is more what I expected. I expected them to really try and lock down Kelvin, which they successfully did. They were able to lock down Pinal. Granted, we were still able to take a lot of good shots, but a lot of them were not coming from Kelvin. We're not coming from Pinal. We're not coming from our typical shooters, which did open up other ones, such as Dantas, Nilton. So I think it was just honestly the shot total. The fact that they were so close showed just how close this game really was. And the fact that it had to come down to the very last second and just a misplay, so yeah, it was a close game. It didn't feel good in the moment, but looking back, I mean, man, it was a close game.
Yeah. It ended up, I think, closer than I would have expected at halftime. And that's a good thing. It's also a bad thing.
Yeah.
But my stat that tells the story is we had 0 blue cards called for anything besides a handling, which it was Lava
Yes.
going to the ground. He overslid, hand came out, and it dragged far enough behind him that they had to call it.
Yeah, they did.
Um,
Yeah, that was
there was no argument
one.
from me on that one.
No.
But this is one of those like eye test, nerd test thing where it felt like, boy, we're not seeing a lot of blue cards this year. Like we're seeing significantly less than years past. So I went and crunched those numbers. And in the post-COVID era, seasons 2021 to 22, we saw 3.34 blue cards per game. 22-23, 3.55. 23-24, 3.01. Something within a half a card over 3 years.
Yeah.
This year's down to 2.2.
Wow. Yeah, that's a significant drop.
Yeah. It is a massive, massive drop off. And I can't help but wonder if you're like, oh, you mentioned wanting to watch the players play. If there's been some kind of push from either the league or head of officiating to have a slightly more hands-off approach.
Yeah.
But if you want to get really conspiratorial, as one of the social media groups has been joking about all the fines that are handed out due to the yellows, is the whole point is would be that they're cutting down on blues, so players get fed up and slapped with yellow cards and have to give the league money.
You know, I respect it. I respect the
They haven't connected those dots yet, but I'm connecting them for them.
Somebody has to
Yeah.
go there.
Oh, it's going to happen eventually, but you just look at it, you're, yeah, there's probably no connection here. There's almost certainly no connection, but it's too obvious not to make the joke.
Yeah. Yeah. They got that quota in yellow cards. They got to meet it so that they can pay the bills.
Yeah, that fall off in blue cards. I mean, not that Utica's had any luck on the power play. We're like 1 for 10 this year.
Yeah, we're not good with that. We never are, though.
That's one thing. But there were, I mean, there's quite literally I think it was Ronnie, quite literally got shoved into the boards from within the subbing on area, close enough that it's like, this is the definition of boarding. How is this not a blue card for boarding?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was Brian Miller. And we've had my conversations about him before. But I was more disappointed in the other ref, Chesky. We normally see her with Osmanovic. We commended her last year or 2 years ago with last year because it was her first year in the league for a Milwaukee Utica series and how they kept things under control and kept it from escalating. There were times that Miller was blowing his whistle from the other side of the turf for fouls happening in front of her. And they were late whistles, and it's just like, ooh, this is... I get everybody has a bad game, but boy, that was disappointing.
It didn't get to the point... I mean, while, yes, it was a bit more prevalent, I guess, in that game, in the second game there, even the first game. I mean, I know she wasn't in that one. We had Josh Wilkins, and I'm not even going to try and say Mark's last name. We had those two guys.
Kadlicek.
I mean, yes, that Kadlicek. I partially think that had a lot to do with the refs, just, again, letting them play, which we like, but maybe took it too far. But also I think there was a lot of frustration on the replay stuff. Because, I mean, basically, for those that don't know, the instant replay, I know we kind of moved past Saturday, but this kind of goes into the officiating stuff. I think a lot of what escalated the issue or the frustration, especially on the Milwaukee side, was the fact that our instant replay was not working. So nobody could do a VR of anything. Milwaukee tried 3 times on 3. I think they had a 50-50 on a couple of those, and and then they just basically took the flags away from both sides in the second half. So I think a lot of frustration mounted because of that. And then on top of that, again, the letting them play mentality really made tensions pretty bad in this one. So I could, I was sympathizing with the fact that Milwaukee was getting kind of upset as they were. Like, I would have been upset too if, it was role reversal, if we were at Panther Arena and, we're trying to review a call and we can't, over and over and over. It would have been we would have been just as frustrated as they were, especially the fans that were probably screaming at the top of their lungs at home. So I don't know. It was a weird weekend for refereeing. Not saying anybody did a bad job, except for, I know that you were mentioning that Chesky wasn't really spotting everything that
It
was
was
going
just
on.
not up to
But
standards for her, which I think is more disappointing than
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, because she's good. I usually have no complaints about
No,
her at
no. When I
all.
saw her out there with Miller, my thought was, okay, well, at least we're gonna have someone with a steady hand.
Yes, we'll have that balance.
But no, just yeah, is what it is. Unfortunately, like I said, everyone has a bad game, and who knows if Miller's had let me take the lead. And
Yeah,
yeah, this is why in other leagues you see officials get paired together for the entire season, so that they
yeah.
have
That way
that
yeah,
similar, you know.
they kind of have that almost familiarity
Yeah,
with kind of what the other one has strengths and weaknesses for
yeah.
spotting. So yeah, yeah, I get that.
All right, play the change this game.
Just because, again, because this one was so
Mm-hmm.
close. Um, if we had won, I don't think that the play that changed the game came until the Nilton Dantas goal. Like, just because that was originally just such a momentum shift. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, I could, the way I could in a separate timeline, that happened overtime and we won because we rode that energy from that goal into overtime. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We got overzealous, and honestly, I think the play that changed the game was the final play. I mean, because this game just felt so close, maybe not for the first half, but moving into the second half especially, I don't think anything changed it except for just what ended it. The Alex Steinwasser goal. I mean, it was just, you watch that thing fly and I'm like, crud.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we had somehow been able to score with that, basically no time left, I mean, I don't know. I think that actually that place would have just gone wild, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it really didn't come until that final play. That's the only thing that really, in my mind, changed the game. It's just how they won it.
Yeah, we're in agreement on this one. Though I'm picking the Nilton one being slightly bigger, the Nilton goal to
Yeah.
tie it. If that goal happens 5 minutes earlier, I don't think it's as big of a deal. Is it a big deal to tie
No.
the game? Yes, but to tie it with 46 seconds left, um, I started texting the other guy in the kitchen just to be like, "Hey, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
overtime," and then I erased it. Never sent it. I just
Yep.
had this. I'm like, no, no. There's too much energy. The guys are too hyped up. They're either going to ride this and end it right now with another goal, or the
Mm-hmm.
wheels are going to fall off. Though I didn't think they'd fall off that spectacularly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they get the foul on Ian Bennett against Nilton with 10, 11 seconds left in the game. And Milwaukee clears it as they should. And at that point, with 6 seconds left, 7 seconds left, just you got to have a good first touch. You got to settle it. You just got to run out the clock and play for overtime.
Yeah.
Secure your 1 point. You are rewarded for going to overtime in this league. Yeah, that was a bad. I mean, there's no argument. It was a way too strong of a first touch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, you know, Andrew's, it was a bad touch from Andrew. And again, I couldn't, I understood it, but I understood it, but I didn't. At that point, like you said, just play for overtime, get the point, and attempt to get the second one. But apparently, they were really riding that high from, the goal 45 seconds
Mm-hmm.
earlier, and just said, no, we're going to go for broke. We're going to go for the win instead. And it just didn't pay off. you take that risk, you make that gamble, and it did not pay off this time. It just was a bad
Now,
touch there by Andrew, and that's
if you're
about
going to
it.
gamble at this point in the game with 10 seconds left, pull the goalkeeper. Let's go full 6 attacker for 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, you're all in. And if you're going to get beat on a long distance goal, at least let it happen with Andrew and Babu sitting on the bench.
Not coming from Andrew. And I think the reason why they didn't pull him is just the fact that he's usually good up there. He's usually good for a quick 6 attacker situation. Kind of doing a Empire Strikers type thing, just letting the goalie go up. I mean, we saw in the highlights for this week, we saw Roscoe score a goal as the keeper going up. I mean, it's less uncommon than in the past to see the keeper going up really far and, sometimes earlier in the game. So Andrew's usually pretty good up there. Usually he's good and he can get back. Unfortunately, he literally passed it right to the Steinwashers, and it just was unfortunate and just a poor pass. But it happens. It sucks, but it happens when you take risks. Sometimes you get bit, and that's what happened in this game.
Yeah.
It sucks, and now the universe owes us one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 6 points out of the weekend would have been huge. 3's the bare minimum, but 4 and 5 are better.
Yes, I will take the fact that we split the weekend, because that's what we were both expecting, was splitting the weekend. So, I mean, at least we did that and didn't come out with nothing. So, more would have been better, but it's okay.
All right. So out of these 2 games, we got to talk about something that needs to change or improve moving forward. You sound pretty like you got something you need to say, but you don't want to. So I'll let you go first.
Oh, I was going to let you go first. It's, how long are these games?
60 minutes.
Rhetorical question. Can you let them know? Can you let the guys know that they need to play 60 minutes? This is not the first year that this has happened. Like, I will give them this. Something that they improved on, at least in this game, was defense. They did improve on that to an extent for both of these games. That's something we've been harping on. When they were really playing in the second half of that first game, and even the second half of the second game, the passing game, the ball control, all the things that I've been harping on for weeks were just fixed instantly. Like, don't know what I think coach must have fed them some really good riggies at the halfway point of the first game, because they came out firing with all cylinders firing, and they improved on everything that I've been harping on for like weeks. But again, they're only doing it for half a game. They did it for half a game on Saturday. They did it for half a game on Sunday. I'm not saying run them ragged, but if you're going to play 2 games on the weekend, play 2 games. Don't play one between the 2. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing. I don't know if it's just their heart wasn't in it, and then all of a sudden it was both days. I don't know what it was, but I don't know what, maybe, what coach said in the locker room both days, or if he said that, what happened. I don't know, but I just would like to see 60 minutes in one game. They just play their hearts out. Play like there is no game tomorrow, because there may have actually been a game the next day that they had to play also, but the team you're playing is the one you're playing tomorrow. So if you run them ragged, they're also going to be tired. And, it's all about conditioning there. So I don't know. I would like to see them play a full game. I don't know if that was similar to what you had, but that's what was a big thing for me.
That is the exact thing that I was going to say. Yeah, I'll even give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll say they played 3/4 of a game on Sunday.
Okay. I'll give you that.
I put in the group chat, I don't know if you remember, it was like as lucky or as unlucky as they were to not find the net once in the first quarter on Sunday, they were equally lucky that they weren't down like 6 or 7-0 after the second quarter.
Yeah.
It just...
Yeah, it was...
It makes one wonder, is it like a mental toughness thing? Because they just got unlucky in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, here we go again, kind of back into the old habits for the second quarter. Then they went into the halftime.
Yeah.
And third quarter was better. The opening few seconds weren't. With Coughlin glued to the turf on a goal that ripped over his head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But then they answered right away. They answered. They got, it's like, okay, we're not dead. We are here. We're going to try.
Yeah, we're going to fight for this.
But the first half on Saturday and the second quarter on Sunday dug holes that on Saturday they were lucky to get out of. And on Sunday, they almost did before shooting themselves in the foot.
I mean, they did dig themselves out of the hole because they tied it back up. They evened it back out. But then they just, they didn't support the structure and it just fell on them.
There's so much more effort and energy going into playing catch up than getting a lead and focusing on taking advantage of mistakes and cleaning up your defense.
Yeah. I don't know. One thing, it just seems like, this is just a joke, but it just seems like, they're just such caring individuals that they don't want to hammer their opponent into the ground and, just kick them while they're down.
Tell that to Harrisburg from the last time they played.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't feel like they'd rather fight their way back and actually have that motivation. And it's just like, why don't you have the motivation to just score a bunch of goals and, just make a statement in the league? Like, hey, we're Utica. We're here to play. And I don't know. It's weird. I would love to understand just the mindset there, as to like why it takes being down to push them to play like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just weird.
I don't know. All right, what's our positive takeaway out of this weekend? Because, the obvious answer is Kelvin. The other obvious answer
Kelvin
is
and 3 points.
Yeah, Sunday ended in heartbreaking fashion. But to be fair, we weren't the only team to lose with less than 2 seconds left. You can ask Harrisburg about that. After they were up 4-1 or something, 5-1, 4-1,
4-1, because it was they lost 5-4. Yeah, I watched that happen. That was also painful because I like Harrisburg. Yes and no, Huber. I do kind of say yes. We can score. We can score when it's not him scoring, or when he's not involved in the play directly, because for those that are not live and can't see the chat, or for those on Facebook that can't see the YouTube chat, Huber basically said we can score without Kelvin. We showed that on Sunday, which is, he did not get his 6th hat trick. And he only got 1 goal in the game and no assists. So yes, we can score quote unquote without him, but he's still involved on the team or on the field or something. He just might not be directly involved in the play. We still haven't seen this team perform well without him involved at all. He still seems to be like that. He's the center spoke in the wheel, holding everything together. That just still kind of feels like that's how it is right now. So it still kind of feels a little shaky.
Yeah, Utica scored 61 goals on the season, and 25 of them have either been off of Kelvin's foot or assisted by Kelvin.
Right. So nearly half of them.
Which is certainly something to watch moving forward. Because all it takes is a rolled ankle for the central hub of the offense to be gone again.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, there was a spark of, hey, we can kind of perform without directly him involved, but at the same time, he was still involved, in the game and in a lot of the plays that happened without him directly or, at least being involved in the scoring.
Yeah. All right. That's those 2 games.
Yay!
Quick aside here before we move on to talking about the midseason awards. We forgot to mention this last week because the breaking news about the suspensions happened. And the All-Star game team selections were delayed until future notice, still yet to be given. But we forgot to congratulate Gordy Gerson and Joey Tavernisi on being named as the commissioner picks for the All-Star game.
Yeah. I was so happy to I was happy to see Gordy, don't get me wrong, but I had been making so much of a push to get Joey votes that seeing that he ended up getting picked for the commissioner's picks, I was over the moon. Like, I am so happy that he made it in. Both of them deserve it, but we've known him for a few years now, and I was so happy to see him make it in.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to forgive Keith Tozer for 95% of all things I've criticized him on. As I stated on my my bold prediction plea to the commish. So I think the one little grain that I'm going to hang on to is the goalkeeper rule, the pass back rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me that back, and we'll be 100% square. I can forgive the mishandling of some stuff around teams coming into and out of the league year after year, and the Twitch era and all that other stuff. But just let my goalkeepers play the full field. And also in relation to Joey Tavernisi, since Brandon, I know you got Doms. My Harrisburg Heat jersey finally showed up.
And he's gone. And he's gone. It's the invisibility cloak, everyone. No, that was great. I was happy to see that. It's funny that two jerseys came to Utica, because as you mentioned, I ended up winning Dom Francis's jersey, and then you ended up winning the team signed Ugly Christmas Sweater jersey. So that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm. You better believe it's going in my backpack for work this weekend. Because Saturday night they're doing a is it this Saturday or next Saturday? They're doing a throwback night for the Comets with Utica Stars jerseys.
Oh, okay.
In honor of the Mohawk Valley Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But CFO comes through and gets food once in a while, talks soccer with me. But everything like, where's my ugly sweater for Utica? Look at how good this is.
Yes.
Nah, like, yeah, I got to lose a bit more weight before it'll fit me. But
Oh yeah, I'm not fitting in Dom's. You can forget
I got the
that.
XL at least.
And I'm definitely not fitting in the one I got today.
I want to see you put it on once.
There's no way I'm
Do
fitting
you want
in
to
that.
mention who you got today?
I'm listen. I told myself I was not going to bid on any jerseys from the Riggies auction because there was 4 jerseys on auction in Live Source for the Riggies weekend. There was Kelvin's, Gordy's, Tim's, and Andrews. I had originally bid on Andrews, and I said, oh, I'm just, if I get beat, I'm not going to bid again. And I got beat with a couple minutes left. And then I sat there and I watched him, and I'm like, Gordy's hasn't moved. Nobody's actively trying for that one. It had gone up. Don't get me wrong. It was at like 250. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. With like just over a minute, said, you know what? Send it. If I get outbid, I get outbid. I'm not going to bid again. And ended up getting double G, number 3, Gordy Gerson. So I didn't end up buying a Riggies jersey this season. I had the one from last season. Now I have this one that is no way going to fit me. But no, ended up getting Gordy Gerson's today. And I'll be looking forward to going down to the Odd and grabbing that. One of the first jerseys that I've won at an auction, and I won't have to have it shipped.
Yeah. I don't know if I got to tell you this because you didn't go on Sunday. Bumped into Gordy and 72 afterwards when I was running out to put in some back of house orders. And he's standing there with his kid and grabs my attention. Did you hear him? I'm like, oh, no, I was. What did he say? Oh, he wanted to know if that's the guy that starts all the cheering. So on Sunday, and friend of the pod, Matt Huber here, will be happy to hear this. I gave away the last of the boomsticks to Gordy for his kid.
Oh, don't worry. I still have some more around here. I can hook you up. Still in the plastic, Haven't touched them.
There are like 3 or 4 pairs left.
They will never die, Huber. I definitely heard you on the broadcast. Like, no question.
I was pretty good for the most part, I think. The fun one was I bet you're so blind you can't even see why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
I still got mine to use at some point. I don't know who's gonna get it, but somebody's gonna get it.
I like the part where there was just regular heckling going on. Like I wasn't even involved. I pretty much hit my limit and realized I need to shut up at this point. And the group of guys in front of us that joins in just out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3. You bum.
They did that on Saturday too. It's great though that's it's fan involvement, positive fan involvement is always awesome. I mean, I know there was some fan involvement the day before, both bad and just silly.
Did I miss something before I got out there?
Can't confirm for sure, but was told that supposedly when Walls went to the box, he got a drink poured over him by a fan, and they ended up being escorted out. So when they say don't throw things on the field or at players, don't do it. Dummies.
Jesus.
So yeah, that was something I secondhand information, but that's, and based on the interaction between him and the fans and stuff as he was kind of going to the box, I wouldn't have been necessarily surprised. It was a tense game. So take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course when a bunch of people threw their hats on the turf.
Oh, that's for the hat trick.
For the hat trick. I get that, but you're still not supposed to throw stuff on the turf. Like, you're lucky that it was not a different situation because, they could throw you out for that. As silly as it sounds, they could throw you out for that. Like, you guys, y'all got to be careful. I'm just like, I'm all for celebrations. Don't get me wrong. You've seen we've seen ourselves celebrating plenty, but you got to be careful.
I love that the who cares after an opposing team scores has taken on its own life, and I don't have to participate in it anymore, and I can just save my voice a little bit.
Yep. It's another thing that came across very clearly on the broadcast.
Now, to be fair, it was kind of a small crowd on both days.
Yeah.
Sunday, understandable with the weather. Saturday, late night, you're not going to get as many kids out. And then, you had the conference championships for the NFL on Sunday.
Overall, it was a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Entertaining.
What were we even talking about?
All-Star, and then the jerseys, and then...
The jerseys.
So, yeah.
Man, that was a tangent.
Getting back on track, next little thing I just want to touch on. MASL Monday gave their midseason grades, and they split the grades on Utica based on with Kelvin and without Kelvin.
Yeah, they have to.
With Kelvin, they gave Utica a B. Without Kelvin, they gave Utica a C.
I think that's generous. I really do. And I don't want to be a stick in the mud. I don't want to, be a, negative about it. But, we did not see a great performance without Kelvin in those 3 games. I kind of wish we had had some diversity. I wish we had not played just Baltimore so that we could have seen how this team plays against other teams without Kelvin. It's unfortunate that it was against Baltimore for all 3. So, I would have been I think it would have been interesting to see them, play a St. Louis, play Milwaukee.
God, I'm glad they didn't
I think
play
that
Milwaukee.
Me too. That would have hurt, but at the same time, it would have been my other option was going to say if we had played somebody like Kansas City, that one would have hurt too, probably. So, I wish we had been able to see them play more than just against Baltimore without Kelvin. And, like I said, I really do think that a C is generous.
I wish this Texas road trip had been in there.
Yes, 100%.
Because Baltimore, decent, subpar year last year for them. Missed the playoffs. I don't think too many. I think some people were surprised. I wasn't, based on their roster build. They've come back faster than I expected. We also had no idea how the new guys, like Willie Bramuse or Porch or Guevara in his second year, were going to step in and meld with the older roster.
Yeah, I mean, even Julian.
They have exceeded expectations this year. But even coming into this year, with 8 teams making the playoffs, they were a playoff team. I don't think there's any doubt
100%.
about that.
No.
Excuse me.
I mean, the fact that they are literally on par and actually exceeding San Diego.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest.
They should be exceeding San Diego by more. There should be another point difference there. I will never let Shane Butler forget. We will never forgive. We will never forget.
Never. But yeah, it's just, it's They are definitely a different team. And, they're showing the league what they're made of.
Mm-hmm. No, but for Utica's grades, I think there are two different. You have to grade them separately.
Absolutely. They were two different
I'm
teams.
with you. I think we got to be harsher on the team without Kelvin because you didn't even get a point. Like that's an F.
I was going to say a D.
And you lost
but
at home. You had home advantage twice.
yeah.
Like there's no there's no way to put this higher than a D or
I mean, the fact this is the one thing that sticks out in my head for the one home game. Literally the fact that everyone was thinking it. You were the one that said it. Do something. Literally just sitting there, do something. The fact that it came to that it felt like it was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard it that quiet in there. And I've never felt, just for lack of a better way of putting it, bored at a soccer game. I've never felt like that. But that game, it was just, what are we doing? Just, there was no motivation, no energy. So, yeah, I mean, without, and that just, just the fact that happened at one of those games, I mean, that's kind of how the rest of them really felt, just slower and messy. So yeah, I mean, that's why I definitely couldn't give them above a D on that for the team without Kelvin.
Team with Kelvin, I'm going to give him an A-. I'd like to see a bit more diversity with scoring, but if it isn't for the San Diego screw job, the team would be 5-1 instead of 4-1-1.
See, I'm going to go slightly lower than you. I'm going to actually say a B+. Slightly come up, but not give him that. I can't give him the A. I could give Kelvin an A+. I mean,
well, yeah, that's the guy on the group project that carried the team and is disappointed that he's got a 91 on it instead of like a 98.
Yeah. So, like,
doesn't hit home at all.
No, I've never been in the same situation.
Yeah, that's really all I wanted to say on that, is just give our 2 cents. And also, it's not technically mid-season for Utica. We're 3 games away from that point. We've only played 9 games.
Yeah, I know. It's weird how, there's such diversity in number of games played. I mean, the most that's been played is Empire with 13. The least that's been played is Texas with 8.
Yeah. And
so
it's actually a great transition into talking about this weekend's Saturday night's game.
I got you.
Texas going down to Mesquite and then Dallas for that good old Texas two-step.
Texas.
Boy, I wish I could remember the name of this Cajun restaurant that I ate at when I was in Dallas, because I'd recommend that. My buddy that I was with, because we were there for a conference for work, and the opening, meeting, everyone's having drinks and cordial, and not my cup of tea. Go back to the room. Buddy comes back. He's had a little too much. Knows he needs to get food in his system. So we just head out walking through downtown Fort Worth, trying to find anywhere to eat. It's like sports bar open till 2 a.m., kitchen closed at 10. It's 10:30. And we found this 24-hour Cajun restaurant. And just phenomenal.
Nice.
Like, oh, yeah, this is one of those ones that got that Creole flavor right to everything, from decorations to the menu.
Just seems like, that's one of those, that the Creole seasoning, you just it's on everything. Oh, yeah. Not that I've had really any Cajun, but
I cook up a little Cajun.
I understand.
I mean, I like Cajun spice, so I'll throw that. Yeah, I'm doing an Alfredo. I'm throwing Cajun in it. Yeah. Saturday, Texas Outlaws. It's on a rodeo field, kind of similar to what they have in Harrisburg. And
Yes.
Texas has not been great this year, to put it lightly.
No.
They've missed some players. They're kind
Huh.
of back. They're kind of not. Their roster was gutted. Their GM has been replaced, and after 8 games, they are 0-8. A team that looked like they were going to be a young up and coming group for the next few years was just destroyed.
Yeah, I was like they were gutted.
They
Period. End of story.
currently have a negative 48 goal differential and have allowed over 10 goals per game.
Yeah.
If there was ever a get right game in your schedule for this year, it's this one.
For
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
I
for
hope.
Utica. This is a get right game for Utica. This is a let's get Kelvin his and then not, if you can sit him for the fourth quarter, you sit him for the fourth quarter. Let the other guys find their groove.
Yes. Agreed. I think this is definitely that game to just, yeah, sure. Maybe get, a few on the board, get a semi comfortable lead, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Or like you said, get Calvin his, if he wants to, if they want to try and have him be on the field to, pull off get the hat tricks back on track, then sure, go for it. Or just have him out there just to distract. Have him be more of a distributor than have it be a distributor versus an ender or a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
Let some of the other talent really, like you said, find their groove. I want to see more of the Nilton Ronnie stuff. Maybe see Keaton get back in his groove, because not that long ago we thought he was an up and comer.
Yeah, off the broadcast
So,
stuff, I'll tell you.
um, and then I personally would like to see a different keeper. I always have said this, that our backups don't get enough field time to really make a difference, and or when they're called upon, then they are cold. And so this game, I think the Outlaws game is the game to play
Mm-hmm.
Babacar. At least start him, or if not start him, depending on how we are going into halftime, put him in for the second half. If things start going bad, bring Andrew back for the fourth quarter. But Babacar, I think, really should get some game time here. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. Even if you only play in the second half, like you get out to a lead and take it that way, because there's no way to put it politely. Like, I'm sure the way that game ended stung Andrew harder than it stung everyone else.
We know how hard he is on
Yeah.
himself. We know that. I mean,
So if you had to give him a half just to kind of shake it and get out of any potential mental funk, I fully
yeah,
understand that as well.
yeah, yeah. That's why it's like, if they put him in for the first half and he has a great first half, feels good, ride
Mm-hmm.
that and let him sit, enjoy that feeling, and let Babacar finish the
Mm-hmm.
game. That's what I think should happen. I really do.
Predictions.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. I completely forgot which one of us picked which games last week. I just know we had the split. So, do you want to fill me in?
Um, I think we literally reversed. I know. I was 4-3 on Saturday with us
Okay.
winning,
That's what I couldn't
and you
remember.
were with
Is if
us.
you had the
Yeah,
win loss or I had the win loss.
I had the win loss. You had the
Okay.
loss win.
So you get those 2 points. You take the lead. You're now up 5-4.
Woo! Or no, hold on. No, I had us winning on
Did you?
Sunday.
You had it lose win.
I had it. No,
We
hold
both
on.
had it splits.
Yeah, we did.
I'm gonna have to start keeping track of these. Besides, like mentally.
I might have had us. It might have been lose win. Now I have to go. Now I have to go back and
Oh, we got a
listen.
shootout in
I
Dallas.
already. Oh, you mean
Like,
like a penalty?
yeah, a penalty shootout.
I was gonna say. I'm like, I just saw that was in the second.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's 2-0
Uh-huh.
Dallas. Dang.
I figured I'd turn this on my
Wow.
phone since we're going to be talking about Dallas in a minute.
Yeah, Dallas. For those that don't know, Dallas is playing at home against Kansas City.
Oh, and he makes the
Which I remember.
save. And it's
Wow.
big that it's at home because Dallas, depending on how this game comes out, is undefeated at home.
I was gonna bring that up. Yes, they are. So if they can, well, I'll tell you what. Let's get to that one because we haven't made our predictions for the Outlaws
Right.
yet. But yes, that is definitely going to be a consideration of mine that for the Dallas game is the fact that if they come out of this with a win, then they're going to be defending their home turf hard to keep that undefeated record at home. But the Texas Outlaws game, I really want to say that this one is kind of going to give us sort of that feeling of like we're going against Harrisburg. That's kind of how this game sort of feels before we've even played it. There's not a lot of stopping power on Texas on that team. I mean, there's nobody that stands out really in the pack. If you look at their point spread, I mean, there's a couple people with one person with a goal per game, somebody about, another one with like a 1.8, 1.3, but there's not much. I mean, and I'm not trying to talk down to them. It's just, we're not seeing much from this team this year, being as gutted as they were, being just, and also, I mean, I don't know, do we see Dantas go back and give him
A
what for
revenge game.
going back to his, I don't know. I see this one kind of being a blowout potentially. And I could honestly see this one. This is a stretch. This is probably my biggest spread. I could see an 11-4.
Okay. Getting big. It's
7-point spread. It's a big one for me.
I'm a little upset because that's too close to what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say you are not gonna make this a low scoring game.
No.
Do not tell me that.
No, we're gonna be splitting hairs on this because I also had a 7-point spread.
Oh no.
12-5.
Well, that means if they get over 12 or get over 11 goals, I lose.
Yeah.
That's basically how it is.
That's all there is to it.
So we got the over under here. I'm hoping they get to 11 and then stop, and you just want them to keep going to the sky.
Yeah. This one's a big gamble on me. I know it is, but it's like I'm looking at them. I'm like, they score just under 4 a game. Holy crap! Kansas City just tied it. And
Wow, we looked away for what, 2
that
minutes?
was not long at all.
They scored twice in 19 seconds.
We've seen that a few times this year.
Yeah,
Both for and against us, unfortunately.
Yep, it was Leo Acosta and Junior Kazim were the 2 goals.
I saw Leo getting high fives, and I went, oh, okay, 2-1. And then I looked up to give my prediction, and yeah. All right, so that's the first one. The Sidekicks game is on Monday. It is a Monday night game.
There's some weird games this year. We had a Tuesday morning
game.
School
game. They do that every year in Milwaukee.
Still, it just felt weird.
I'd be on board if Utica wanted to do that and bring in all the school kids, but you'd have to sell that as an add-on ticket, I think, for your season ticket members.
Yeah.
Or
because most parents are not making that, or most people aren't making that in the middle of the day.
That's fine.
What?
As long as we fill it, that's great. Just you can get a couple thousand kids from the schools in Utica.
Oh yeah. No, I don't question that at all.
Okay, so Monday night game. Dallas, much better at home. But they're also another team that's not quite great defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And their offense is basically Jamie Lovegrove and then good luck.
Yeah. Which, if we get someone like Juan to lock down Jamie Lovegrove, that's it. Because we've seen, I'll be honest, even Vinny's playing some good defense lately. He just gives me shades of Schindler, and it makes me miss him even more.
Yeah, our penalty kill has looked really good lately.
Yes, it really has. It has been solid.
What, you're running Logan, Juan, Nelson, and Nilton out there.
Yes.
And it's looked really good.
Although I think there was one time that Nelly went to the box, and I want to say, at one point, Kelvin was out there as a quick counter. So, yeah, but it's still been a solid defensive unit on our penalty kill, for sure. And we haven't seen too many penalty kills for us.
Yeah, no, we've seen enough, but...
we haven't seen... Again, goes to the lack of blue cards this season. We just haven't seen that many.
Look, I'm giving this one to Utica as well. They're going to be slightly better rested. Sidekicks are playing tonight. They're playing Sunday, and then they play Monday.
Ooh, 3-game weekend. I didn't know that.
3 games in 5 days. Now, they got 2 days between now and when they play Texas on Sunday. But they're playing back-to-back days. Utica's going to get that little extra rest in there. And again, just that you talk about goal differential. Yeah, they've won 3 games this year, but their negative 38 goal differential is the second worst in the league.
Yeah.
So maybe this one's lower scoring. I'm going to say 9-4 Utica.
So, like I do in some other games, I'm going to give 2 scenarios here. Say they're not defending their undefeated streak at home. Say either Kansas City edges them out tonight, or Texas takes their first win against them on Sunday. Because all 3 games are in Dallas.
Yes.
So, I in that situation, especially if they lose to the Outlaws, I definitely agree with like a 9-4. I'm not picking that because that would be silly, and then I'm gonna try and pick a different spread just for you. But I definitely don't see again, there's not much offense there.
Yeah.
There's Jamie Lovegrove, like we said, and with our defensive talent, with Juan, with even Nelly, if as long as it's not a sprint back to back to the goalie. Yeah, I see this as a Utica sweep for the weekend. You had a 9-4.
Yes.
I am actually going to go a little bit smaller of a spread. And I'm going to go a 10-6.
Okay.
So 4 spread and a little bit higher offensively for us. Mainly just to make it easier on you.
It's fair. It's fair.
I was going to go 10-3 to be honest, or I was going to go 10-4 or 10-3 to be honest with you, but I figured I'm like, I want to give Dallas something because they are fighting for their home turf, and I respect that.
This looks like a double-digit weekend for Kelvin. Neither team really has that guy that's going to lock down a single player. And as we saw from Milwaukee, it takes 2, sometimes 3, to limit Kelvin to 1 goal. Like, they didn't even keep him off the score sheet.
No.
Nope. Kansas City managed it in the playoffs. To be fair, he'd also had like a week of practice with the team, if that.
I was to say there was like no adjustment there, but he was basically, all right, here's your shoes, here's your jersey, go out there, get out there, champ. Now he's had some time, now he's learned the game, and it shows.
Yeah.
It shows.
Now this is an easy weekend for someone to say like he's going to get 10 plus points.
I mean,
heck,
yeah,
given the way he could take over a game, he could have 10 plus goals.
I was going to say, I mean, I could see him, 10 to 15 points, 15 on the high end for sure. But it also, again, it also depends on, like you said, do they let him do his thing for like the first half and then sit him in the second half of one or both of these games to give the other guys time to play without him, just in case. Like, I don't know. I could see that, and then that will adjust our goal expectations. But I mean, with him on the field against these teams, it's scary for them. So yeah, I could definitely see it being a high scoring weekend. There's really not much, unfortunately, for Dallas and for Texas, or for Dallas and for the Outlaws, there's really not much to say.
Yeah. Anything less than 6 points out of this weekend is not a good sign.
No, I think even an overtime win, I think, is still surprising for Utica for this weekend for sure.
Well, that's what we got to say about that. I think that's everything else from us. We covered 2 games and have given our predictions, and we'll be back next week once we can get you a date to talk about it for episode 100.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add, Brandon?
No, I want to see this upward trend for Utica continue, and hopefully this will bolster their confidence going into, or going down to Texas, and then coming back to face a familiar foe that we'll talk about next week.
All right. Well, with that being everything, he's Brandon. I'm Matt. We do this every week. You can find the social medias. You'll find us.
You might even
We
be
got
watching us on one of them
we
right
got a
now.
merch shop. I'm in a weird little phase where I have an intrusive thought that I'm turning into a hyperfixation and might turn into another fan jersey. I don't know if you saw that little post that I put up earlier today.
I might have, but I have to look again.
Just with the soccer Star Wars jerseys leaking the other week, I thought, oh, why are there always Star Wars and never Lord of the Rings? And then I went,
Yep.
Wait a minute, why not make one? So I currently have some
Womp womp.
Tangwar font set up in the shape of the ring for us, and well down the rabbit hole. So we'll see what happens. Nice. But until next time, go Utica.
Let's get a couple of W's this weekend, shall we?
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing, go Utica City.